ICT lesson, and today we are going to start at page 24 of the grade 9 reading book. So last time we looked at some of the tools that are available in a spreadsheet. Today we are going to look at special features of a spreadsheet. So here we have an image of a spreadsheet, and basically what each of these areas are called has been outlined. So there is a name box in a spreadsheet. So if we go into a spreadsheet, again I'm using the Office 365 free online version from Microsoft to do this lesson. So this is the address or the name box. So if we go to a cell somewhere on this spreadsheet, say I click here, so the name box tells us that this is cell number in the column G, row 4. Wherever we place, whichever cell that we select, this will show the name of that cell. So that's pretty straightforward. And then we have columns. So if we go here, we have columns from A, B, C, D onwards up to XFD. Now, how I jumped to the last column in this spreadsheet is in the MacBook, it's pressing Command and the right arrow key. I believe on a Windows computer it will be Control and the arrow key, if I am not mistaken. And I jump back by pressing the reverse of that entry. Anyway, so these are the columns, and here you have quite a lot of space to work. So if we go on to the next one, it's called the formula bar. The formula bar is basically this part. So whatever you type, let's say I go to the first column, first row, A1 cell, and we call this a cell, okay? So here I type 5 plus 45 and enter. That is what gets displayed there. But if I type equals, now see the amount, the total here is the formula that I gave here. So that's how basically the formula bar works. You can do various things with this, and it says shows what is being typed in a cell. But again, sometimes if you just look at a cell, now if you just look at this cell from the outside, you don't know what has been typed there. So when you select a cell in the formula bar, you can see actually how that value of 50 came to be. See, so that's good to keep in mind. Then we have rows. Has a label starting with number 1. So rows are very easy to work with. You have, I'll just clear this. You have rows from 1, and like before, if we go to the last row, this is the last row on this spreadsheet. So you can like, if you're doing a table, then it's easy to use the rows, but sometimes you have to put titles and various other information where you can't. So if you put 1, 2, 3, and then like you within the rows, you can create various other small tables using some of the features that are in this package in the spreadsheet. So let's get back to the reading book, and here the next one is a cell range of selected cells in close proximity. Now this is important. The selected cells are together in close proximity. They are not in various other different places, but they're together, sort of bunched together. So how I do it is I click on a cell, then you could either click here, you can see that there is a small outline of a square right there. You can place the cursor there, click, and then select, or you can simply click on the cell inside the cell and then drag using the mouse or the touchpad on your laptop and select a number of cells. So that way you get the cell range. And here if we look at this, what happens when we select a cell range, you see here it just shows you the beginning cell E1, E3. So you don't really see all the information relating to the cell, but there are places that you will come across it. So we'll leave that for now. And here finally we have the cell intersection between a row. This is the wrong row, should be ROW, and a column is the cell. The row letter and the column number is collectively called the cell address. E.g., for example, the highlighted cell's address is G7. So that's the cell address is what gets appeared in the name box. So see these small cages all have bold type names: name box, column, formula bar, row, cell range, cell, and here inside the cell cage you have cell address in bold. So keep these in mind. These are important, and questions can be given asking you to identify a row or a cell range, or what a formula bar is, or what a column is. So it's important to keep in mind what each of these are. So we go to page 25. Cell formatting tools. So there is a strip of some of the features in a spreadsheet, and cell formatting tools are named here. So the first one is in green, font. Basically what kind of fonts are available on your spreadsheet. So here this is how my font features are displayed. If I, on the online version, if I just hover the cursor on that page, it says font name. If I hover the cursor on the size button, it doesn't show me anything, but these two are next together, so it's easy to figure out. Then what I showed you before, the size changes size of letters, headings, subheadings, and normal letters. So let's quickly play around with this for a bit. You can do this at home. The quick brown fox, just to keep this simple. And if we click Ansana new and then say size 20, see what happened there. The cell automatically expanded to show the larger font. And if we go to a different font, let's say Comic Sans, it'll be like that. You can see, this is something extra which you can just be aware of. If in the cell, if your whatever you put into the cell can like show on top of another cell, but if you type something else in the next cell, you can see that the formula bar shows the full content of that cell, but it doesn't overlap. Now if I delete the content in this cell, again you can see that that's how cells work. Now if there is something here, some font or some letters there, and if you want to see the full extent, you go to this line in between the two cell columns and double click, and then what happens is the end of the A column expands towards the right, enabling you to see the full text. But these are things that you will learn when you work with spreadsheets frequently, so it's just keep in mind that there are things like this there. Now if you want to put it back again, you can sort of drag that column back, and there are ways to give it a specific width. And then we have the bold, italic, and underline options. So bold, now you can see bold here, but you can't see some of the others. So if you click, in my version of Excel, the other font options have to be selected by using this these three dots, that option, sort of basically going forward. More options are given through that. So Bold will make the text. Now the text here is Comic Sans MS size 12. Now if I make it bold, then it becomes slightly larger, bolder. So that option you can use like in Word to make something stand out. And italic, if you click, you have to click the cell. I didn't click the cell when I clicked on italic. See that it tilted. So that's another option. And then you have underline. So see, whatever changes that you do to the font, don't go into the formula bar. The formula bar shows you the content as it is without all of those uh, formatting that you did. So italic to make letters slanted, to make letters darker than normal is bold, and underline to have lines beneath the letters, and then fill color to change the cell background color. So now we have this, and now let's say I want to put a background color, let's say light green, and when I click that, you have that cell with a light green background. Then color, to add colors to your letters, so that is this button here. And if I wanted to, now this is in black, let's say I wanted to put it in white, again I have to click the cell and then click on white. Then I have the text within a green background in white. Let me quickly undo those changes. You can undo what you did using this button. So, and then the last one in this section is to apply borders. Now again, borders is this word, and this borders refers to a different type of border. So uh, remember, it's borders written this way. So if we go into the cell again, and I'll expand it, what we do is, see this option here, that's borders, and when you expand it, you have all these options. So there is no border, bottom border, top border, left, right, all borders. That means if I had selected a particular cell range, I can divide all of them into individual cells based on the area that I selected. If I selected the cell range and just clicked on outside borders, only the outside border would get a border, and this is a thick outside border. So I press that, see what happens there. So if I select a cell range and I select all borders, and then it becomes like this. So if I select that cell range again and I say I want to give a thick outline border, then I do that. Now let's say if I had some a few uh, numbers together here, and I wanted to show that. How do I do that? Then I would go top and double bottom border for that part, that cell only, see? So then it becomes different. And if I had a title going here, then I would put a color there. And if I wanted to show the number part in a separate color, I can do something like that. So you should take a bit of time and play around with this, like use the computer, draw a table, uh, give headings, play with some numbers, and see what you can do. Now this is a bit more advanced, so alignment and positioning. Here you can use the options that the spreadsheet gives to align and position your text. So let's try this out. We go back. Now see, all those the align tools are here in this section, like so. So if I say Sunday, Monday, just disregard that I'm not capitalizing these. Right, so this is just to play around with this. Now for this sake of doing this, I'll expand this like that. So if I want, now it is aligned to the left. If I wanted to center it, that's what I do. I use center. And if I want to align the text to the right, then I do that. So going back to the work reading book, left align, right align, center align. Now middle aligns to the middle, top to the top, and bottom it aligns to the bottom. So that is when you can quickly do something like, let's say if I expand this cell height and only take this, so it's top aligned, center aligned, and bottom aligned. So like that. You can sort of do some nice things with text and create nice tables using these functions, features. So wrap text to make all content visible within a text. So let's say now if I wanted to have this cell, that's what happens when you wrap the contents of a particular cell. The cell expands so that the content is visible. Now if you think about it, if you had different content, say this is just 3 words, if you had 8, 10, 20 words here, that 20-word cell would be the largest and these other cells would be smaller, but everything would sort of expand together. So the largest cell would basically be making all the other cells the same size. So just keep in mind that it could happen. And then orientation. You can have the text go in a particular direction. If we go here, where is orientation on mine? Okay, so let's say here we have more options. Looks like I don't have that option immediately visible on my version of Office. But if we click on to another one, yeah, let's, if we expand the ribbon, yeah, seems it's not available on this. Now it can still be here. Let's say if we go into, we are looking for this, the orientation, changes text direction, orientation. No, that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't show that to you right now. I'll have to search for it and maybe come out with it next time. Let's leave that for now. And then merge and center. To combine multiple adjacent cells to a single larger cell and align center. So what happens is, now let's say we have several, we have this text here, but now I want it to merge and center. To do that, if I click that, see what happened? All those three cells combined into one cell. So if you look at the cell address, it shows as just A2, but here it's A3, B3 and C3. So that's what happens when you merge. Individual cells combine, or rather merge together to form one. So it's good to be aware of that also. Then we have number tools. So this is a bit more complicated. Now basically, if you if we start here, now general, there's currency, percentage, increase and decrease decimals shown here. So these are the, this is general, the number format, uh, accounting, various currencies are listed, and this is increase decimal, decrease decimal, commas, percentages. You can see that there is some slight difference to what is in the textbook to what Microsoft Office Online shows in the ribbon in the spreadsheet. So you don't really need to worry. These buttons in the old days, in earlier versions of Microsoft Excel, these buttons were like not categorized in different ribbons like insert would have, like this. They were like mostly all together. So when you added all of these features, some of these features you were able to select, and then like your the features options would sometimes cover a larger portion of the screen. So what they did was they categorized various things into different groups. So formulas got their own ribbon, view got their own ribbon, page layout, insert, various options are there, and they were all put together into categories that made sense. So as time passes, we might even see other different changes take place. So just adapt and do what you need to do. Okay, so now here we have the general drop down list, and if we look at it here, like what's mentioned there, number, currency, accounting, short date, long date, time, comma, percentage, fraction, scientific, text. So here it's basically the same things, but you can see some slight differences with the icons. But mainly number deals with numbers, currency deals with various currencies, accounting lines up currency symbols and decimal points in a column, short date will show the date in the way like this, long date would give you the longer version of the date, you can show the time, and you can show percentages, fractions, and scientific notations if needed. So with that, at the end of page 26, we will stop for today. So just take some time and try to look at these. If you have access to a computer, you can take a look at these ones and see whether you can learn how to work with what we discussed today. And if you can comment whether on your version, whether the orientation button is visible immediately when you open up your spreadsheet package, do let me know. So thank you for taking the time, and remember, take time to study and get used to this, and it will be all the much easier for you when it comes to your term test and end of the year tests and other exams down the line. So thank you, take care and stay safe. Bye for now.